And we're back. Welcome to No Direction Beyond, your Starfinder news, reviews, and interviews podcast. I'm your host, Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Param, and I'm joined by...
Alexander Agunis, the Everyman Gamer.
And I'm James. I write Code Switch.
And this is going to be an episode that leans heavy on the news aspect of things. There's been a lot of Starfinder news hitting us. 1, 2, 3 all in a row, 2 of which were sneak attacks.
I don't know about you guys, but like Starfinder news usually happens like really slowly, like the speed at which planets travel across the cosmos away from the theoretical epicenter of the Big Bang. So like getting all this news at once is amazing.
Yeah, especially since like the Pathfinder news is just like a little bit on the hold because the playtest had just wrapped up. We already know pretty much almost everything that's going to come out for PF1 through Gen Con. They're obviously not going to spoil any Gen Con stuff until sometime later that I will not speculate a guess.
I will. April.
Probably. My guess is January 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a con? Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes. On January 16th, there's going to be some stuff to talk about on No Direction Prime when Jason Bowman will be joining us. So a week from today, tune back into this channel. Jason Bowman's going to be talking about how the playtest went and some things like that. It's going to be a super exciting episode. Normally we would save this sort of thing to shout out. So if you have come here thinking that this week was the Jason episode, because we've been advertising the crap out of this thing ever since it got confirmed. Just one more week, gang. One more week and it'll hit. But do stick around because we're going to talk about the cool new announcements for Starfinder.
Yeah, we're also super entertaining, so you should totally watch us anyway.
Yeah.
We're here like every other night.
We're secretly
Listen,
the
you
best
might not
show.
be entertaining, James. I'm super entertaining, and Param is super entertaining.
Say what?
Oh.
James is the best part of the show.
I agree, but we need to make sure that James knows he's the best part of the show.
Oh, I feel loved. By the way, PAX East 2019 might be another place where you can hear stuff too. Sorry, I was actually looking for like information. Sorry, I didn't want to just like throw stuff out there.
Oh, yeah. All right, but moving on, the first thing we want to talk about Starfinder related is that the playtest for the Starfinder classes is quickly approaching its end. Actually, it'll end the day we have Jason Bowman on our show.
Yeah.
But some of the feedback and planned changes to the classes has already been announced in a blog post by Amanda Hammond-Coons.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, that blog post is amazing. I love it. Love it.
You love the changes or love the blog post?
Everything. It's such a good... It is, as someone who writes blogs, it is a masterfully crafted blog post. It is succinct. It is action-oriented. It gives you a scope that, like, the feedback is definitely being listened to. I loved it, and then I loved the feedback. So we should probably talk about it. So now that I'm done.
So the most important nuggets of all this is they talked about some very specific action items for the 3 classes that are going to appear in the Character Operations Manual. That's the Spring 2019 release or the Summer Spring 2018. I always forget what we
Operations.
Yes.
It's the Q4, so like the winter release.
The winter release.
The beginner box is spring 2019. Mm-hmm. Then the thing that was announced that we haven't said yet was announced for Gen Con. Mm-hmm. And then character options manual was announced for the winter release.
Mm-hmm. And in it, where they say that the biohacker, the big change there is they realized that there was an imbalance between the 2 key ability options, which you may have heard us talk about because intelligence was always the best option in our opinion when we were looking through that. So they're going to do their best to even that out a bit and make sure that both forms of Insane Scientist is playable.
Totally.
Thoughts?
Which is great.
Yeah, I guess half this class option needs to be playable is something that is super important, and we have harped on them in the past. I'm looking at you, mechanic.
So I actually I ran Skittershot last weekend, and one of the Skittermanders is a mechanic, and they're built as an Exocortex mechanic, and It was actually really effective, and I kind of feel bad about bashing it so hard now because, like, I just sat there and watched this mechanic with the supercharge mechanic trick just blow stuff up. I was like, wow, okay, this is life, I guess. Oh,
I mean, there's also 2 other mechanics in the local lodge that have been just fine with the robot. Like, the mechanic actually fits a good spot. But as far as the biohacker, in case you didn't catch the previous episode or anything, there are 2 kind of paths of mad science you can go. You can either go intelligence-based, which is like your studious, or wisdom-based, which is just where you kind of art the science. You kind of make it work. When you are just really smart, you get to use your intelligence modifier as your will save modifier. So you add your intelligence modifier, perception, and wisdom checks as well. So like it switches your key stat almost to a stat that gives you a lot more benefit, because without your will save, wisdom doesn't do a whole ton. And also there are injections that you get to use because you have a cool injection gun. And the instinctive one, the one that goes off wisdom, allows you to add small like debuffs, while the studious one, which is the actually intelligent one, gets to combine 2 effects into one. So it's way more powerful.
It's way more powerful. Even if you consider like, oh, they both count as against your total, it's just like being able to. It's the action economy is too good.
Yeah. Getting to do 2 actions in one is always better.
Yeah.
Moving on, the news for the Vanguard is that they're going to be adding more ways to spend entropy points, specifically earlier on, including the ability to use their entropic pull ability at first level, which they couldn't do in the playtest version of the class. Okay.
Oh, so they had it, but they couldn't use it because the first ability is mitigate at third or second.
Right.
Second.
Yeah, so like there are ways to spend points in the current version of the class, but there's nothing you could spend it on at first level. So you have this pool of points that you just keep building. You have all the entropy stored in your body, and you have no way to release it. So you just implode, I guess. I don't know. But they're gonna be fixing that. No more exploding vanguards. They're gonna be able to lower that resource. Good stuff.
Yeah, I played it at 4th, and I did not have that issue.
I kind of see the logic of not letting you spend it at first level, since there are a couple benefits that you get only while you have points. But at the same time, it makes generating points beyond the first superficial at first level. So it's probably important to be able to have that play style decision in your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the ability to mitigate, while scales very well at first level, spending an entropy point to have damage reduced by 1 isn't exactly a fun choice.
And this is a common criticism of Starfinder in general, is that a lot of the classes do not get to really do their cool thing at first level. It's usually second or third level before the classes seem like they've really come into their own. And that can be a not so fun experience, especially in Starfinder Society when you're introducing the game to new players. If they're playing characters they've made, or even worse, pre-gens that just really aren't doing the thing that their class is supposed to be doing, and if that's their only exposure to the game, especially their only earlier exposure to the game, it really doesn't show it off well.
We're looking at you, Altronus.
I mean, they also play the same, like at low levels too, because your bonuses are pretty similar. But the game thrives once you start to get in the middle levels.
Yeah, I think by like 5th level, it's definitely like hit its stride. You don't even need to really be like, once you get to the top of that first quarter, you're pretty cool. And then by where we're at in Dead Suns at like level 10, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, each one of you is significantly different with your own challenges.
Yes, it's good. But speaking about things being significantly different with their own challenges, let's talk about the Witch Warper and how they have completely different challenges than the Vanguard and the Biohacker.
Yes, indeed. The Witch Warper, the thing they called out was that they're going to make sure that the Witch Warper has their own unique pool of spells. Witch Warper only spells, in addition to the ones they're going to be borrowing from the Mystic and the Technomancer. And one of the interesting things is that they talk about the types of spells they're going to be getting, and they mention specifically damage dealing spells, battlefield control spells, and buffs as some of the sweep, which makes them very much the Arcane caster expectation.
Which is great. If you have Witch in your name, maybe. I mean, I guess arguably in the upcoming PF2, they're more occult, but you should have some of those options. I feel like at least when I had the Witch Warper sitting at my table, the only damage dealing spells she had were like saving throws and caustic arrow. So it's like I'm looking forward to seeing the Witch Warper get some more oomph in its back. I think it's got this weird problem where, at least from what I've been reading from the forums and people posting in our Discord and whatnot, where like a lot of the paradigm shifts do these really cool things that feel like they should be spells, and then the class itself doesn't really offer enough ways to do cool stuff with Infinite Worlds, the core class feature. That kind of just improves on its own in a very oddly specific and like standardized way. You'd think a class that is all about changing realities and expectations would be able to like custom tailor that a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the customizations are in there. You know what that whole ability reminds me of? It reminds me of a really slow developing control weather spell.
Yeah, I could see that.
Where like you're able to change stuff from like light wind to heavy wind, but it never truly changes everything because it's just not significant enough.
I think it could definitely use some more oomph. I think when I think of the Witch Warper, I think more of the paradigm shifts, and Infinite Worlds is kind of like meh. I wish that instead of like targeting the area, you could just say, I'm going to pick that creature and warp them instead. I just feel like it would be super cool that a whole bunch of, you got to choose how you're going to change reality. Every Witch Warper doesn't do it the same. Because they kind of all do.
It's also kind of insane to go for that concept. Like the concept of I change what reality means is such a wide, crazy goal.
It's very ambitious
for. And like to try to make any sort of rule system to handle something like that is nuts. I mean, we've seen superhero systems that can't, like the second you introduce stuff like this, they just sort of fall apart. I mean, this is ranks right up there with time travel as to make your GM's head explode. So it's going to be really difficult for them to stick the landing on this. I hope they do, because it's super flavorful and awesome. But like to where you feel like you really are your Scarlet Witch type character and just manipulating all realities, and still be playable at an SFS table where the GM is handling a whole bunch of characters they've never seen before.
Do you know what I think it needs? I think it needs something like the Solarian, where the Solarian has a list of regular revelations and Zenith revelations. I almost feel like this class needs a separate list of like ways to modify Infinite Worlds. Like everybody gets the same baseline, and then as you level up, you get to pick more ways that are just not paradigm shifts. Like they should be their own thing, and then you should be able to customize your Infinite Worlds. I don't know if that's too complicated, but in a book that's not the core rulebook, I feel like you could be a little bit more grandiose in your design. Kind of like how the occult classes are theoretically more difficult to play than the core classes.
Yeah. With Infinite, like how I've been looking at it is Infinite Worlds is how you change everything, where your paradigms are those individual changes. So the name of the ability, I think, creates an expectation that is the end-all be-all. The variety in Infinite Worlds is the same because it's really vague. Like by 10th level, you're changing radiation, gravity, wind, heat, cold, all by a step. So like you have this wide variety of things you're changing. It's just at 10th level, doing that to any specific place doesn't really do anything, because by that point, your specific opponents or allies are safe from this. Like,
well, about half of those things that you talked about are things that armor just shuts off.
Exactly. Like I totally agree. Infinite Worlds needs more punch.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be able to do everything that its own paradigms do. I think that shift is okay. Also, they have a lot of the same damage spells as Technomancers.
They don't get explosion, do they?
Yeah, they do. They do get the explosion. Which for the playtest version, they just had to slap together a thematic spell list with what they had. They only introduced a few spells. I mean, when they get to do their own list and actually write a whole batch of them from scratch, I think that's when this class will really start to feel like its own thing. Though,
but whenever somebody says that there's no damage spells, it has all the damage spells from other classes of that level, and that's just low-level casters in general, because most of these pre-gen or playtests, I'm guessing, have been lower level.
Probably.
Yeah, you suck. It happens.
I really hope it's possible to play like a polymorph specialist Witch Warper, so that somewhere in the world, Like somewhere in the world, there's a reality where all Vesks are frogs with wings on their butt, and you're gonna find it.
So wait, do they still fly like a helicopter, or do they just like turn upside down? And
No, they all fly like tails in Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's so that they can attack with both sets of claws at the same time. They're still the vicious conqueror race, but that's how they do it.
But their attacks, it's clawing slap fights.
Mm-hmm.
So they would operate like flying drop bears. I like that. That's actually hilarious. I'm a fan.
Like I said on the show, I really want to see an adventure path that's all about going to alternate. It doesn't have to be the Witch Warp or adventure path, but I want to see an adventure path where like the players have to reality hop. Something out of Rick and Morty. It'd be hilarious.
Oh gosh, please do not be a giant meme fest for 6 volumes.
I'm Pickle Obadiah.
Oh no, we Cronenberg Galarian.
Oh, that's funny. So, that awesome blog post that's super succinct and actionable. It has lots of great information that we basically just covered, so that you don't have to read it if you don't want to, but you totally should, and tell the authors how great they are for writing it. That blog post is only one of like 3 or 4 great new things that have happened since the holidays, isn't it, Param?
Indeed. Next up, they announced that the next book to come out after the beginner's box or before the beginner's box, kind of curious as to after the beginner's box, is going to be in August for Gen Con release, the Alien Archive 3. Another Alien Archive. Now normally this would just be a note of say, hey, more aliens. But there's actually some cool things they mentioned in here that tie into a lot of our predictions for what the game needed.
There's also like a really weird thing. Like there's a lot of people that are saying like, oh, there's a build your own race system, and like it doesn't say that. It basically just says that there are more races that you can play as in a really
species
way.
We gotta get our
Yeah. It says like build your characters using blah blah blah, and then people are like, we're getting race building rules. I'm like, but it doesn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't.
No, but it does say something really cool that Param wants to talk about. He's literally exploding.
Indeed. This is the where they're going to introduce alien companions and mounts. Because this is something the game has needed. We've said it on the podcast before when we were kind of guessing what could be added to the game. It's like, we need our alien pets. We need our crazy animals added to the game. Because what in the world is used to having 6-armed T-Rexes if you can't ride one in the battle?
I mean, that's true. I'm really looking forward to it. The way that it's written, it makes it sound like not only is it going to be an animal companion system, but maybe like almost a cohort buddy system. Like, I personally think that Chewbacca is a player character, not an animal companion or cohort companion. But like, if this rule lets my character have like a Chewbacca buddy running around, I'm pretty all for that, to be completely honest.
I mean,
we all know Han Solo's the dog in that relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe. I guess kind of.
Yeah, Chewbacca's lived for like what, 500 years?
That's true.
It's kind of like it's kind of like those Pathfinder players that play the summoner, but they insist they're actually playing the summon, and the caster is the sidekick, which is how it works in the rules, honestly. But and it even makes sense because you're a pseudo immortal, all powerful being just guest starring on this planet. Of course, the quirky little gnome behind you is your sidekick.
I've seen it played both ways. I've seen summoners where like the Eidolon pops out and is like wearing a backpack and then just puts the gnome summoner literally into his backpack. It's like, no, there's no more gnome. He's not there anymore. He's
oh yeah, that's a weird one.
And then I've also seen summoners who the Eidolon is a top hat that the summoner wears. And then when combat starts, it turns out the Eidolon is mounted on the summoner, which is the strangest build I've ever seen.
At our Pathfinder tables, the Eidolon that is most beloved is Bearzilla, who is a celestial black bear that wears a top hat and trench coat at all times and has a diplomacy score of 1 billion. And he is the face of any PFS party. It's like, oh, it's time to negotiate. Bearzilla gets summoned and negotiates the contracts.
It's Rob Barker, attorney at law.
We have one of our friends has an Eidolon that is named after one of our other friends who was
A
a
lawyer?
practicing lawyer.
Yeah.
So he made it into like almost like a babao, I think he said is what
It was a contract devil.
Oh, it was a contract devil. That's right.
Yeah.
And so he named him after our friend Rob Barker, and his was Rob Barker, attorney at law.
So he did a bunch of points of profession barrister as well. It was one of the weirdest things.
It was great. Well, also he had that call truce feat, so he'd be summoned and then just end combats, and we're like, well, okay.
Guess we're hashing this out. I think part of the reason why the animal companion system in Starfinder would also look like a companion system is there's an archetype in Pack Worlds that is that looks like it's based thematically around the Traxian Dragon Riders, where they're two sentient creatures that are working in tandem. And to make a set of rules that just excludes them would just be doing that whole archetype a disservice. Because the archetype even says you get a companion. It just doesn't define what a companion is.
To be completely honest, if you could make humanoids, that would make Dragonkin great. Because the dragon just be like, I partner barn with my little human over there. He's my great little buddy. It's awesome.
I love how we've just delegated the entire human species to pets in this podcast.
I haven't. You have.
Yeah, that's true. It's all you. I was talking about Chewbacca, and then no, you did, James. I guess you only really delegated Han Solo to a pet. That's one specific human.
Right.
Sorry, Harrison Ford. If you're watching this, we're sorry.
If Harrison Ford is watching this, I'm sorry. My wife loves you.
We're gonna get a comment now in like a few days. It's gonna be like, "It's okay, James. I forgive you." And like his holy symbol will be like, "Dun dun dun dun." All right, but so what do you guys think? How are you going to be able to get access to these rules? There's no way a character can get it without like having to like give up something like a class feature or an archetype. What are you guys expecting?
I think we're going to see both a feat buy-in system and an archetype if you want to go all in.
I think that's pretty safe.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, you'll probably get another class that just does it natively as well.
I'm wondering if the rules are going to let you have a drone and a companion buddy.
Ooh, probably not. I mean, multiple controllable critters was like something that Pathfinder had a humongous problem with, to the point that they banned it in PFS.
Yeah.
So I can't see them knowing how much of a trouble that introduces at tables and then allowing it with that sort of hindsight.
I'm kind of expecting to see some sort of like control share your action system. That was definitely in the drone, and it's basically in the Pathfinder playtest. So like I'm expecting it to be like you get one action and you can give it more.
And that's how the summons work too, so I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the flavor behind that. Like, because if it's an animal, it makes sense that you have to spend actions to command your animal. But if it's a companion creature like a buddy, does it assume that he just takes one action each round unless you tell him what to do? Is it like that one person at work that doesn't do their job and doesn't do anything unless you tell them to? Is it Joan? Is it Joan at work?
No, it's Slippy. He has to tell you to do the barrel roll.
Alex.
Yeah.
Bob, get in there.
Get in there, Bob! Oh gosh, now Ash is a character you can play. Oh gosh, Louise is going to be so happy. The day that this book comes out at Gen Con, Louise is going to have this ready. He's like, oh yeah, about this for months. Get in there, Ash and Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh man,
exciting.
if that's PFS legal, we gotta do that. You gotta do something, Bob.
Then you get a biohacker to just nano boost Bob.
Oh gosh, she sleep darts, Bob.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
It's an archive book. I mean, hopefully there's more swarm in here, because last book had, I believe, one swarm. People kept saying multiple. Was it two?
Yeah, every book so far has had two.
Every book.
And, yeah, and you know what else is going to have
Am I
two swarm monsters in every book?
Which one?
The Attack of the Swarm Adventure Path is going to have two new swarm creatures in every volume, apparently.
Wow. I wonder if they're going to be like unique for the first couple volumes, or are they going to be lifted from the bestiary?
No, they don't do that with Paizo. They make new stuff, and then the bestiaries lift from the adventure paths.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I prefer that even.
So we're going to see all the bugs all the time. For those of you who don't know, I'm sorry, I totally stole my Master of Ceremonies line and announced the next thing we're going to talk about. Sorry, Param. So the next adventure path got announced, and it is Attack of the Swarm with an exclamation point at the end. So in this adventure path, you play as a group of 4 to 6 stalwart heroes who crash on an alien planet that is being completely devoured by the swarm, and you have to fight them. This is great. This is the first adventure path they've done where you're literally going against one of the setting villains. Like every other time, it's been something completely new that was never in the core rulebook. Like Signal of Screams isn't in the core book. I guess Aeon Throne is.
Aeon Throne is totally mentioned in the.
It is the second, because the first one, Dead Suns, involves stuff that is never hinted on in the core rulebook.
Right. Yeah, there's some interesting tidbits to pull out of this. First is, of course, the swarm monsters that they're going to be adding to it. The other thing is that this is another 6-parter. They did two 3-parters, which just are wrapping up now, and then Dawn of Flame is kicking up next month, which which we are belovedly calling Against the Sun Wizards here on the podcast.
Are we? This is new to me.
Yeah, didn't you get the memo?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, my phone is buzzing over there. Is that the memo?
Yeah, you need to check it. Make sure you always check your phone in the middle of the podcast. Don't do that.
Okay, got
it. But yeah, that's a 6-parter as well.
The first part is going to be written by Patrick Brennan. It is called Fate of the Fifth, which is as Alex has mentioned, it is going to be a planet being eaten by the swarm, and you got to do something about that.
That is a great name, by the way. Whoever came up with Fate of the Fifth, you deserve a raise. You really do. Good job.
I feel like I don't get the reference.
It just sounds awesome.
Oh, okay.
It just sounds great. It's a great adventure, but because sometimes it's like, okay, I guess that's cool, or like they sound like very, very staple fantasy, but like this to me sounds like really, like it sounds like a war name. You know what I mean? Like I expect to see here Fate of the Fifth to be like up there with like Saving Private Obadiah and I don't know, Pearl, Absalom Station, and all the other great war movies.
I just want to see like Ziggy in a Vietnam helicopter with like a freaking 60s soundtrack blaring in the background.
It's not a 60s soundtrack. It would be Star Sugar Heart Love, right?
Yeah. He would still have the minigun though. He'd be very proficient.
Which is great because we really need some like. So we have someone who made an album cover. We need somebody to actually go and like make this album. I need to be able to play it. You don't have to make real lyrics. Just sing an alien gibberish. I'm sure that's easier, right?
Just sing in Simglish.
And for any of our listeners who are a little curious while we're referencing Ziggy, the Swarm is this humongous insectoid devourer empire that the Shirin have broken apart from.
It's the Tyranids.
Yeah, probably the Tyranids. Or the bugs from Starship Troopers.
Or the bugs from Men in Black, but we only see one in Men in Black, so we can't assume that. I don't know why. I just wanted to add something because they did.
Yeah. Which I wonder if it's going to be better to play an all Shirin party or a no Shirin party in this.
I think that Shirin like friends and new experiences, so a Shirin is probably going to want to have some non-Shirin to enjoy themselves with. You probably want whatever the players feel most comfortable playing. Because, I mean, you could just go down the list and it would make sense. Lashunta like eating arthropods, so of course they would go and hunt some swarm. The Kasatha want to make sure that they are the only race with the most number of arms native to the pack worlds, and if the swarm takes over, that could be in contest. Skitter Manners want to help everybody by making sure that everybody still has a place to live, and so planets don't get eaten.
But they have to help the swarm, and they need people's faces to eat.
So I'm going to be real. I think the idea that Skittermanders don't possess any level of judgment doesn't really fit their stat block and is kind of Kendery in the worst way. So I don't really go for that. But you're right. They do need someone to help, and it's the universe.
You'd probably want to go split because you do meet a Shirin Priest of the Forever Queen Hylax, which I didn't know that was her title.
Oh, that's great. That should be like when you meet someone and their name is the Forever Queen, you know they're legit.
Yeah, like instead of Pope, just Forever Queen. Who's the current Pope? Yeah, whatever his name is.
I'm just thinking about all the different popes we could apply that to. We could go with Forever Pope Benedictus.
Forever Queen Benedict. I love it.
I'm sorry.
Let's move on before this becomes like hate speech.
No,
No, it's fine. I'm Catholic. I approve of it.
But you don't know the Pope?
Isn't that how this works? Are you sure that I don't have a private card to the Pope? I don't. I really don't.
I mean, he
Please
came to
don't
Philly.
assume
That's as close as it comes.
Listen, he was at one point less than 60 miles from me. It's true.
But Attack on the Swarm, just to jump back to the Tyranids real quick, at the beginning of the Tyranids release, there was a Tyranid race that was feigning surrender and trying to leave the Swarm, at least on paper. So maybe you got something like that going, with how the Chirin are. So,
Or maybe we're going to get a giant article explaining the Forever Queen's faith in the back of the book, because we really need it. It's not like Abadar or Sarenrae or Pharasma, where we can just kind of remember.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely one. We need that one. We need Damatosh, Vesk War Dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I know so little about this war god.
Wayland.
I don't even know how to say his name.
Yeah, Wayland, all of those. Also, this is the goddess that my envoy worships. Goddess of friendship and individuality. Good goddess.
Also known as god of anime protagonists.
Pretty much. But the Adventure Path sounds cool.
I'm really excited for it.
One of the things is that with it being a 6-parter, it's not going to be like Signal of Screams or Aeon Throne, where it's a significant big event. This is going to have room to be a massive world-shaping campaign.
Setting shaping.
Okay, yes, setting shaping, galaxy, universe shaping campaign. Because if you compare them, say, over to the Pathfinder side of the fence, it's like when you have one of the big war campaigns there, it's like, we're going to close the world wound, or we're going to fight back the orc hordes. I mean, we're going to have a lot of time and levels to do some high level, and I mean that high conceptually level engagements with a 6-part adventure path that just wouldn't be possible in a 3 adventure path arc. But I do still hope that this doesn't mean that we're not going to see any more 3-parters, because I really like that format, and I hope that format keeps going.
If we're being real, the first 3-parter would have been Aeon Throne. So when that came out, they're usually about a year. So they would have started penning and outlining Dawn of Flame around when that adventure path would have came out. So it makes sense that they would have experimented for those 2 and broken them up, and then gone back to a more traditional layout. If we were going to get more 3-parters, I would expect to see them after Attack of the Fifth or Attack of the Swarm. I just meshed the name of the adventure path with the name of the first volume into one unholy abomination. I am sorry. And now Param can't cut that out because I just made a giant joke about it that won't make sense for like.
You do not understand the full extent of my editing powers. I can even cut this comment out.
No.
I would like to see other high level short form adventure path content that maybe deals with ramifications, because like the Fight of the Sun Wizards AP tops out at like 11th or 13th level, which isn't very high.
No.
So, it might have been too much to write at this time. It might be something where you can take plot threads from the end of other ones and condense them into hey, this event matters, and why does it matter to you guys? So there's room, because like, as much as I like the Pathfinder setting, Pathfinder adventure
path.
Adventure path line, none of it kind of matters in the overworld, it seems, or the stuff that does is very selective.
So you quit Pathfinder Society. Pathfinder Society just made Wrath of the Righteous canon. So there's the scenario I told you about that I really want to play on my Blood Rager, your summoner. That scenario takes place after Wrath of the Righteous ends, and you have to go into the now ruled by Discari hexscape of Sarcoso, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is like it canonizes in Pathfinder Society that adventure path happened and is completed. They don't really say anything about the players who won, kind of like how Return of the Rune Lords just calls them the Shidrolon heroes from the other ones.
The Sahedron?
Yeah, Sahedron, there you go. The Sahedron heroes from the other ones.
Mhm.
But like they've started to canonize things. In my opinion, like the only Pathfinder canon is Society, same with Starfinder Society. Like that is the canon of stuff that's happening in the world because that's the living campaign. So if it doesn't show up in the living campaign, then clearly it could happen whenever it's not canon. So at least in my opinion, the fact that they were able to be like, no, like Wrath of the Righteous happened, now we're dealing with the aftermath is like,
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I just wish it was, like not 5 years difference.
that's fair.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
very fair.
So
I feel like 5 years ago they probably were not sure how people would take it and they weren't ready to end an edition. So I think they're ready to do a lot of crazy stuff now that edition is ended, and if people like it, they'll probably keep doing it.
yeah. I mean,
Remember, people, the power of your praise is more powerful than the power of your negativity. It's true.
Stay back from the microphone, Alex. That ruins
that
the
hurt.
sound.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. But with having this maybe foresight, maybe we'll see this happen more often. It would be it's fun. I mean, a lot of your chronicle sheets that you get for completing them as a sanctioned event give you things from those adventure paths anyway. Like if you complete Rain and Winter, you get marks of the riders of Baba Yaga, implying that at least the society character has a passing knowledge of it. So hopefully these get developed too, and maybe the core rulebook line picks up on what events that maybe happened in the living campaign.
You know what the ironic thing about those marks you get as a Pathfinder Society character? They're actually so much stronger than the mark you get in the game itself.
Oh my god, it's just like, hey, I need my spell to be 3 DC higher. Make a DC 30 fort save against your limbs being twisted. That's all my witch did, because he was
That
not
was
a good
great.
person.
No, there was the one time where you suffocated somebody with that boon.
Oh yeah, that was, what is it? I suffocated a hag. That was funny.
You suffocated a night hag that had no business failing that saving throw. we only won that adventure because you suffocated that night hag, actually.
You can thank Resembe Soarta when I burn his character sheet.
No, don't burn his character sheet.
With us getting Witch Warpers, I want Space Hag adventures.
There's only one so far. There's the Void Hag. And actually, the way that it's alphabetized in the book, the word hag doesn't come first. So
That disturbs me.
yeah, and so usually it'll say, like, if you're doing a new devil, it'll devil comma blank to show that it's part of a subset of creature. But the Void Hag doesn't do that. It's just listed as Void Hag.
Well, if it killed all the other hags, how does it form a coven?
With other Void Hags.
Ones that it doesn't think it's strong enough to kill, but can still exert control over.
It's like the apex predator pyramid. All of the hags have been fighting each other for countless generations, and then eventually, through hundreds of thousands of years of selective duking it out, one void hag emerges from each planet capable of supporting hags, and now all the hags and that matter in the galaxy are void hags, and they just float through space, and they're like, yo, you won the evolutionary chain on your planet. Congrats. So like, on Earth they look like humans because humans were the dominant species. On Vesk Prime they look like Vesks. On Skittermander 3 they're hag Skittermanders. It's great. They're Skitter hags. Yeah. No, that is canon. I literally just made up everything. Please don't take it as true.
I like the Intergalactic Association of Hags. That was just fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
The Intergalactic Association of Hags. The Aya.
IO.
I'm just imagining now like a Highlander-esque Christopher Lambert hag going out there hunting the rest of them.
Oh, you know that would be a thing.
We're scaring chat with our discussion of hag organizations and corporations.
Well, I mean, what's scarier than one hag? 3 of them. What's scarier than that? 3 hags cubed, you know?
Yeah. No, it's like our friend Robin's silly Coven Hex idea where they're just occupying a 100 square foot space of
I think I actually got permission from them to write that up for Code Switch. Oh boy. No, I think I already did.
Yeah.
It is, if I could find it, it's a good.
No, because Robin loves witches and she wants you to share the Coven sphere with the world.
Yeah, the Coven sphere ended up increasing cast level by like up to 1,000 something. It was weird. It was great. I was trying to
Next
find
time on Code Switch.
Already done. That's what I'm saying. Already done. Need to dig it up. Yes, already done. Already got permission.
Target Practice says Skittermander hags sound both adorable and terrible. Yes.
If anything's adorable and terrifying, it's just terrifying.
Would they just help you in the most horrible ways possible? Like they're Jinn. Like you really think you want this?
Yeah, I definitely a race I would not want to encounter their hags for.
No. The Skitter hags.
But any other comments on the fate of the attack of the Swarm Adventure Path?
I'm really excited for it, but the last time I checked, there really wasn't that much more information besides fate of the fifth.
The only other information of note is Jason Keeley teasing throughout the different comment sections that this is going to go places you didn't expect, and I wonder how literal he means that.
Hey, I mean, it does at the end of the first, like the synopsis, that you are going to try to make it in the orbit. So I would love to fight an offensive against aliens. Like it just scratches that Starship Troopers itch, and I would like to know more.
I want to see Absalom Station just completely swarmed with it.
I'm
Do
wondering
Space
how
Hulk.
they're going to handle Starship combat in this AP, because one-on-one Starship fights don't really feel like a massive. They feels like a Star Trek thing, you know.
They probably do it similar to. Did you get to play the special at all?
No.
The special has some multi-combat fighting. Has some multi-fighting. So a lot of it's abbreviated, kind of like how the ship combat in Skulls and Shackles, because later on there's a fleet battle, not just a pirate battle, and that's abbreviated a bit as well, just so you're not like racking your head off like 8 crews or something like that.
Yeah,
that's too much.
Yes. So we have a pretty cool Starfinder year to look forward to. We got the beginner box in a couple months. We've got Alien Archive 3 at Gen Con. We've got COM at Q4, at the end of the year. Fate of the Fifth, a really cool adventure path, or Attack of the Swarm, a really cool adventure path coming out at Gen Con. Sounds like a pretty good year for Starfinder. Safe to say it's greatest so far?
Yeah. I mean, of a short life, yeah, you were getting a lot of good products that help round out the world a little bit, so you know where to direct players when they're curious about something now.
Yes.
Instead of just digging it up and just pulling it out of your butt.
You pull the book and you throw it at them, and if they survive the concussion, then they get...
That cool rulebook will leave a concussion if you hit them in the right spot.
A cool rulebook will leave a concussion if you toss it gently beside their head.
Soundbird!
All right, everybody. Well, that is everything we've got to talk about news-wise. Does anybody have anything they want to shout out to before we wrap things up?
Anything I want to shout out to? Nothing Starfinder. Or
don't you release a Starfinder-related thing literally every week, Alex?
I mean, I do. Last week was Rituals of Transfiguration. Ritual rules that are unique to Everyman Gaming, and a bunch of rituals you do terrible things to your players with. It's great. I love it. Skill-based rituals are the greatest. This week I'm doing polymorphic missions, which I'm looking forward to. Gosh, no. I bought the Skittermander mini, and I keep posting about it in Discord.
I know, and it's shattered broken tears.
Look, it's together. I fixed it.
For those of you listening, he is holding up a Skittermander mini. Who makes those?
So this one is made by, his name is Zach Stocks. If you Google Skittermander mini Shapeways, it pops up. It's his Shapeways store. So he sculpted the base mini, and I messaged him and asked him if he could give me a custom hammer, because my Skittermander uses a hammer made out of solar light. And he also has one of the Infinity rifles. So, and he posed it so that one of his arms is weighted. It's cute. The base mini to print it costs like $10 to $12, I think. The changes that I asked for, including 2 new items being made for it, cost like $65. So
Good God, man!
Yeah,
You're committed to that little fur ball to spend that much money on that mini.
Hero Forge is like $30. It's just double that.
Yeah, just double what is already considered a ridiculous amount to pay for a miniature.
I mean, by who?
You've never kit bashed then.
Oh, like, I have. I'm just quoting the inner spirit of Costello here whenever we talk about Hero Forge.
Well, also, I'm going to be honest. Costello's choice in minis is questionable. I'm sorry, Ryan, if you're listening, but I've seen that mini with the diaper on. I've seen that. I'll never unsee that mini.
I mean, if you're gonna get a campaign out of it, putting $30 to a mini is not that. You get your time worth.
And when you play Starfinder and you don't really know how long you're gonna character for, it works. Career Nerd in chat says, I've never used Hero Forge plastic. If you get the durable black plastic, in my experience, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the early releases for sure.
Yeah, I've had some of them break on me, but the breaks are usually pretty clean. It's pretty easy to do. If you're lucky, it'll break in a place where you can just green stuff it and do some glue, and it's fine. You kind of just gotta make sure that you are using the parts aren't too thin. Does that make sense?
There we go. I was looking around for any of my minis because I have I think I have 3 or 4 Hero Forge minis at this time. The only place I've gotten breaks are at places where I've made them too thin.
Yeah.
Even if you make something very thick, it's going to look thinner when you're done. But I have ones that have swinging lanterns that are fine. It's just making.
Yeah. The only one of mine that's broken is a Saru, and that's because I gave him real speak because he's young, but it ended up breaking there, so it's on me.
Yeah.
So now his new version uses long sleeves.
James,
yes.
Have you ever tried to pin a Hero Forge mini?
No, the part was too narrow because it was an ankle that broke on mine on one of the thinnest settings, and I do not have the stability to drill a millimeter hole in a 2 millimeter diameter shin.
I wouldn't do it.
No, I just gave her socks, and I just green stuffed it and glued it, and it's been fine since. I've been using that mini for almost a year afterwards.
Actually, no. One of the pieces of advice that you gave me, Param, is to just when you order a mini off of any 3D print service, to just look at what you're designing and look where there's too much mass, and that's probably where it's going to break. Like,
yeah,
my Skittermander, his hammerhead broke because it's this big clunk of hammerhead on a little pole. So. Yep. But if you're willing to fix it and you take the time, it's not bad.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty worth it.
I've had 6 Hero Forge minis now, and only one of them ever broke, and it broke because I dropped a book on it, and that's kind of par for the course for things you drop books on.
Yeah.
Especially if one of those books is our aforementioned Starfinder core rulebook.
That'll do it.
Were you angry at something, or were you just clumsy?
I'm always just clumsy.
Oh, okay.
No, I hate you thing I spent $30 on. Crush.
I hate you. Crush this character.
I'm going to turn you into whatever a freaking Fruit Loop looks like when you stomp on it.
Dust? The answer is you Thanos'd the mini.
Honestly, it just broke off at the ankles. Like a dab of super glue and a little spray of zip kicker, and that thing was fixed instantly.
Yeah, plastic glue works too, if I remember correctly on it.
It depends on the brand and what you got. I'm a little scared of plastic glue because it's a really good way to make sure something sticks because it works by kind of partially dissolving the plastic and then letting it in. But that also terrifies me. If you use it at a place where you want detail, there's no detail there.
Well, that's also how super glue works. It's all about just melting the two materials together.
No, scary.
No. Super glue is its own material, its own bond. Yeah, it's an adhesive.
Like if you need to, you can use the baking soda trick.
I don't know that trick.
Oh, whoa! Let's get out of Starfinder news. I break a lot of things. Help me.
Okay, so like if you need to strengthen up a joint that's too thin, what you can do is you can put a little bit more super glue on there. Like don't use any accelerant, just put a lot of super glue there, and including like making sure some of that super glue is exposed around it, and then instantly dust that thing with baking soda. And what that will do, create a instantaneously hard mass there. So it's a little way to fill in gaps when you don't have access to liquid green stuff, or if you need to strengthen up a joint. You have to be careful because whatever the shape of the liquid is will become a solid. But if you need to like strengthen up a really thin joint or thicken up a shaft or a connection, it's a great way to do it.
I learned something today. You know, I don't often expect to be the person that learns things on the podcast, so...
It's true. We're usually the ones who tell everything.
Yeah. As far as shout-outs, I mean, I just did a 3-part article about, like, churches and money, and I think it's really good.
So good. It really is really good.
That spell distribution was just like art math. I am very proud of that. But it's a pretty good find as to, like, where does all the money at a church go? Because, boy, they actually do have a lot of money.
It's something I want to shout out to for the network is that Adventurous just had a a series of special episodes that you'll start to enjoy, where due to various coincidental disasters, we were unable to have Crystal Fraser GM us for one of our recording sessions. So instead of just canceling it and postponing and giving you guys no content for a couple of weeks, we went ahead and ran what's the adventure called again?
Lion's Justice.
The Lion's Justice, which is the Pathfinder Society scenario that happens simultaneously with the beginning of War for the Crown, with some PFS characters. So it's the usual gang. Plus, this will be the first appearance of new permanent cast member Jason Keeley, as he plays Ezran the Wizard throughout Lion's Justice. And as we manage to save the Talden Senate from utmost disaster. Or did we completely screw it up and have to retcon our entire campaign? You'll find out in an upcoming set of special episodes of Adventurous.
I've heard that Jason is especially hilarious in that podcast.
He is. He does so great because he's basically sleepy, forgetful Ezran, old man, where's my pillow and my candy Ezran.
So funny enough, when we were getting seasons beatings put together, that was what he pitched for Rangvald, and I was like, well, I guess if you want to. And he was like, no, it'll be funnier. It's funnier when I do it with Ezran. So I'm glad he got to do it.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I had to be the GM for that special session. So I had all of a half an hour to make a Roll20 game happen that I wasn't expecting to do. Thankfully, this is an adventure I had run once before, so I sort of remembered how it went. And I hope y'all enjoy it. It was a blast. Oh, one last thing to shout out to is we would like to very much thank our Patreon backers. Thank you all so much for the support of the network. It is only through your efforts that we are able to keep expanding this content. And you'll even hear more news about that soon, which we'll be super happy to tell you about when that becomes possible. So the network continues to grow and go places thanks to your efforts. Also, if you are a Patreon backer, go and make sure you link your Discord to your Patreon account, because then you'll get recognized as one of our backers on our Discord server, also known as the chillest place to hang out and talk about anything Pathfinder Starfinder related. This is a toxic free zone. We make sure with an iron hammer that it is a super chill place to hang out. It's a great community to hang out on, so please get on that Discord. You can talk with most of the staff just about any time you want to on there, as well as all of our fans and listeners that are on there. It's a great place to hang out. And if you're a backer, you'll now get recognized and have access to our special backers only chat area in case you wanted to be in the Super Kids Club. Also, if you are one of our insider backers or higher, you'll have access to the insider only chat room where we spill the secrets about what we're planning to do. So if you want to get a heads up on what we're planning on doing with the network, and more importantly, get your opinion in there back on stuff we are not quite ready to announce, it's a great way to find out the secrets of the No Direction Network. Anyway, we'd like to thank everybody that can support us at all levels. Thank you so much. And until next time, go beyond with No Direction.